Yo, 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 we're back. It's Thursday. Funnest night for audio, if you ask me. I'm your boy High Five Vega. This is Dean. He
Hey,
has a
hey.
small YouTube channel that he posts videos on from time to time.
Yeah, time every now and then.
Yeah.
Every now and then. It's rough.
Oh man.
Man, what a crazy couple weeks.
Yeah, you've been out of the country
Dude, yes, twice actually.
twice. Oh man.
Yeah. How you been? What have you been up to?
Been good, man. Been keeping busy. Haven't been working on videos like I should, but I got 10 million other things to do, so
Well, you got that golf life, man.
yeah. Yeah, I've been doing some golf selling on Fridays every Friday, so
Really?
yeah. Not too bad. Hadn't been too bad. But we did have Chris fill in for you last minute. Last week.
Hero?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he came on. We talked about the Best Buy situation and his setup he's working on. So
Oh,
it was
that's
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
I was actually I was texting him right before we came onto the show. Um uh because I don't know.
Just because.
Yeah. Well, he was asking about the Alpine kit.
Right.
So the Tesla Alpine kit, there seems to be some issues as far as how many hours it should take to do the installation.
Uh,
Alpine seems to be like kind of kind of clueless when it comes to how long it took.
right.
I know the two of us worked on it for 2 days. We added sound treatment, which was added some time to it. And it was one of those installs where I'm sure if we wanted to run through it as fast as humanly possible and everything would have gone perfect,
Yeah.
then like they're saying it takes 6 hours to put it in. You could probably get it done in 6 hours. Um,
After you've
but
already done 25 of them and you know exactly what you need to do.
yeah, because I mean, like they don't give you a mounting bracket like for the amplifier, which is funny. So you're gonna have to make something.
Right.
Um, it's just one of those things where it's like, huh? Because originally it was like 4 hours, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know Rockford gives us 8 hours to put the Jeep together, and that's like replacing a sound bar. And the Tesla, you literally have to take almost every panel out of the car. You have to take which if you're watching the video we're doing right now, you
Dude.
slowly but surely will find out.
I watched the first two videos. I think that's all you have out now.
Yeah,
That and it looks like an absolute nightmare. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. Those A pillars are the cheapest freaking A pillars I've ever seen, man.
Really cheaper than the Prius A pillars?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's
So they're
insane.
they're made out of like you have blown PVC, which is soft and you can scratch it with your finger. This is made out of like a blown hard plastic, almost like a 3D printed plastic.
Hmm.
Um, it's got a wafer feel to it. I don't know. It just feels cheap. I'm really surprised, which totally would make sense because it's very light
Right.
and seeing how like part of the appeal of the car is going electric is being efficient, and so I can't see where you'd have heavy panels. So like wherever they could not put something, they definitely took something out of it. So like in the corner, I don't want to give it away. You'll see. We'll all live through it together over the next couple weeks.
I mean, the speakers look decent, but just the way the concessions you have to make to do the install, um, that doesn't look fun. Not at all.
I don't want to give away the ending.
Yeah. We will see. Oh man.
But well, what's up, Andy?
Andy. Kicker Club's kicking it. I'll
Um,
just let them all in, Andy. Group uh
yeah,
approve all.
yeah, just let 'em all in. What difference does it make, right? Just
David, Baba.
yep. What's
What is
up?
this? Timmy D. What's up?
What did it say? 6 hours not in Dean's world.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, oh for sure. Yeah. Well, we filmed it too, but there again, it wasn't filming it really doesn't take that much longer.
Right.
Um, because yeah, I mean, for that one, we kind of broke the rules as far as because very rarely will we film anything that we've done for the first time,
Right.
just because it doesn't make sense. But we did it with the Rockford Jeep.
Right.
That was the first time we'd put one of those in, but we'd seen enough of it. Like, I mean, we literally talked about it for 4 days at SEMA, and every little piece of it we've touched or felt, or
Mhm.
because they've been working on that thing for years. So um, that one didn't really seem. Plus, we've worked on hundreds and hundreds of Jeeps, so really that one didn't seem too far off base.
Right.
But the Tesla was definitely interesting. So we'll see. We'll see.
I
You
think
know,
it's worth it because someone's gonna try to put this in themselves, and
oh
they're
yeah,
gonna be partway in and be like, what am I doing?" And they're gonna type
yeah. Well, and
in
the other thing too is like Alpine's website has been down a lot lately.
yeah.
And so like right now, there was a scene in the video where I'm scrolling through the owner's manual on the laptop,
Yeah.
and that wasn't supposed to be edited like that. There was actually supposed to be an owner's manual that you guys got to see, but their website is down, so I couldn't go back and capture that video after the fact, which
Yeah.
is normally what I would do. I would, I would verbally put a note in there that says go and capture this, and as we're, so it was like, oh, this sucks, you know. So, uh,
Yeah.
what's up, man?
What's going on, Digging Low? Yeah, I think, it's like once you've been doing YouTube for a while, you kinda have a system. So at first, before you figure out your system, it takes you a little while to do all this stuff. But once you know what you're doing, and you're like, "Oh, I do these 3 type of videos. For this video, I kinda set it up like this, and this," and it's just you go along with it.
That's neat. I was reading that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Nice. Ring speakers.
So, so this, all right. So one of the things I'm struggling with right now is Mark just released the video on Sage's on I'm sorry, it's not actually Sage's car, it's his partner's car.
Yeah.
Um the Honda wagon. Um we have our video that we shot too. And I'm I'm debating on whether I release it now just
Yeah.
because, or do I wait another month and release it next month after, the joys of Marks has worn out. Um That's kind of a tough one. It's like releasing, you know,
Yeah,
2
dueling.
volcano movies in the same summer. I don't know.
You know what? I honestly sometimes they work out better. Like,
Right,
we've done that with I've done that with Derek where we both, like, independently bought this amp to test,
right.
unbeknownst, and it's like, "Hey, let's just
Yeah,
release this is my take on it, that's your take on it," and they've done pretty well. Sometimes though, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I know we shoot ours way different than he shot his.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out if I want to edit that one and get it out. Um, which would just take the Alpine one. It would just make the Alpine video take longer to get through. Because like next week we have the Warhorse that we have to get out, because now we can talk about it, even
Uh,
though everyone in the world has talked about it. They
yeah.
embargoed us on the Warhorse, and it was like, how does that work when it's literally sitting on the table right there, but we can't talk about it yet? Okay, all right, sure, cool,
Well, I mean, I may have some news on that front as well, so
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you get to work with marketing. We have to work with engineering.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And
Yeah,
it won't be an amp dyno video. It'll be something else.
yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, no, it's cool. I mean, it's heavy as shit. Holy crap. The other day we had it, someone was like, comparing it to the original Warhorse. And
Yeah.
it was like, well, we have one on the wall. So we got up and we stood there. What is the embargo release date for the Warhorse? It was, what is today?
The 18th.
It was yesterday. But we got the go ahead early, so that's why I think we talked about it on Tuesday.
Right.
Monday? Tuesday. It was Tuesday. And we compared it. If you took 3 of the Warhorses, you could probably put them in the heatsink for the old Warhorse.
Yeah.
Is what we figured out.
It's not very much bigger than the 2400.
It's wider.
Yeah. It's just like a little bit. It's within that size range, but it's dense.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does look a lot like the original.
Yeah, it does.
Like, which I hadn't really noticed, even though I've been staring at the original for years now. It hadn't occurred to me how much it looks like the OG version of the amplifier. I was like, oh shit, it really does look a lot like it.
Did they release MSRP numbers for it yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Expensive. They may have. I mean, I'm sure there's a dealer price sheet with it. But the cool thing that nobody has seen, like I had them in the video when I was at the CMA, is all the distribution blocks that they're coming out with.
Ooh, I haven't seen those.
So when I was at CMA and I did a pan through, even though the video sucked apparently because it's Rogers cell phone service with my AT&T phone on it, I was over where Kicker had all their stuff set up, and they had all the Warhorse. They had 3 or 4 pieces of the new power distribution that they're doing for the Warhorse.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that looks freaking cool. So,
dude, so my original, that's what I heard as well, but I didn't hear it through official chains.
Well, if it's on CE Outlook,
yeah,
because Joe just did the interview on CE Outlook, so yeah. As far as
I guess was $9.99.
So Andy, I don't work for the same people you work for at Kicker. That's the only way to say that makes any sense. So we work for a different part of Kicker than we do. So you guys work with marketing, we don't.
Yeah.
So and they take all the heat. I don't have to worry about it. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm gonna start posting pictures and doing all this crazy stuff. We have a lot of work we have to do.
But no, I still got it. I got speakers sitting back here. They still need to go in the Prius before I can put anything in there. So
yeah,
there's that.
Get
up that phone first. He's got a direct line.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I could see him like Andy has a red phone. Would it be? No, it would be yellow, right? Black and yellow.
Yeah, it would totally be yellow. It could be red because, why not?
Yeah. But I mean, in the theme of Batman, it's the Kicker colors.
Yeah, yellow and black.
It'd have to be yellow and black.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
No, but that's fun. I mean, listen, Kicker's got a lot of neat shit coming out this year.
Yeah.
That they've had to sit on because of COVID and chips and
supply
chain issues and all that other crap. So I mean, it's going to be cool. The Warhorse is the first of many things in that space, I guess would be the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But there again, to be fair, all manufacturers are working on some really cool shit. So it's just a matter of I always laugh because we sit here and it's like we know what's coming out and we're like, oh my God, I cannot wait until that comes out. Like that's going to be a game changer. And then by the time it comes out, it's already like, oh man, I can't wait till that thing comes out because that will be a game changer. And you'll be like, okay, no, so it's like by the time something comes out, we've waited so long. It's like, oh, well, there's other cool stuff now.
I feel like that with all technology now, like phones, cameras, it doesn't matter. It's like whatever. By the time it comes out, it's like, oh man, but they're talking. Oh, this is 8K. They're talking about 16K in the next camera.
Oh wow, that sucks, Melissa.
That does suck.
Yeah, I get it though, man. I totally understand. I mean, that's the unfortunate part of as a manufacturer having to hire reps to, and so like Kicker has regional sales managers.
Right.
Like Lori is a regional sales manager. She's our regional sales manager. And then we have our Kicker rep who's been the rep since like the dawn of time. But he's really good at it. And so, but we have other reps that do other products that, don't necessarily do the best job because they have a lot on their plate, or they're just, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
But the problem is like I had a friend of mine call me the other day and was like, "Hey, could you give me this phone number to your person here, because I need this product and I cannot wait for my rep. If I wait, I won't get it on time." And I was like, "Yeah, no problem, here." And he called me back. He's like, "Oh, dude, you're a total lifesaver. It's, it went out. I have it today." And so like being able, most manufacturers like Lori, you can call Lori. We can call Lori direct and order directly from her. We don't have to call our rep,
Right.
because the reps suck. In some cases, ours doesn't, but and then you also have buying from distribution.
Right.
So you can become what's called an authorized dealer, but you don't buy from Kicker, you buy from the distribution center, so to speak, and you pay more for it, but you have the convenience of being able to buy smaller quantities. But those guys can also be, been there, done that. Ripping ain't easy. Repping ain't easy.
I mean, you got to, because you literally, this is the front face or first business to business contact that
Yep.
so you got to, you can go the Chick-fil-A route and have a very pleasant experience, or you could have the
Burger King.
the Burger King where it's like, I don't even want these people touching my food.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, we've been fortunate that like we get involved in all aspects of it through Smash Force. Like a year ago, 2 years ago, something, JVC hired us to go train the sales force
right.
of the distributors.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting prerequisite, though, because they're like, you can't call you're not talking technology to them. Like, you can't talk tech. And
Right.
it's like, oh, because that's not what they do. They don't know tech. They have, fill hole, that, fill hole, make money. And
Mm.
so, that was that situation where it was like, okay,
It was
you
like
know,
back in the day, you go in a stereo shop and you talk to the sales rep, and they have a general knowledge about what's going on. But when you start going too deep, you could tell, like, oh, well, I mean, there's only
yeah,
so much they're going to be able to tell you.
yeah. But yeah, in there again, which is fine. The idea is to understand, the sales guy has to understand the basics of what the product can do. He doesn't need to know all the ins and outs of it. He just needs to know, like when Google first came out and we were all like, I don't need to know how to do that. I can just Google it. I need to know how to find the information. As long as I can find the information, then I'll
Right.
be fine. But then Google got advertising and got jaded. And
Mm.
now just trying to find some small piece of information, it's hard because it's like you got to weed through tons and tons of crap now. So now it's falling back to, we actually have to know the stuff, because if you try to find it on Google, you ain't got the time. And you're
Right.
gonna be there all day. Yeah, it was numerous things, mostly not having anything as the stocking rep. They send us 10 items at once, 8 months after we need. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
No. No.
No thanks. We'll stick with ARC and Focal. And I have no problem with either one of those.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
just
you guys
brought,
are uniquely lucky because you have more facets than just being a popular cardio shop.
yeah.
Like you do, marketing essentially. So people want to work with you because they like the presentation you have of their products. So you get an extra. I think you may, people are more willing to work with you than maybe some other shops.
So that is actually the weird thing, because once people figure out, once the manufacturers figure out the structure of what's going on at 5 Star, that kind of changes the dynamics of the conversation. Like there's a lot of guys that think, we've had manufacturers, we'll be at, Knowledge Fest or something like that, and they'll be like, what's going to take to get this stuff in the store? And I said, well, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, 5-star's not mine. 5-star's a client of mine. And like, what are you talking about? You explain to them, like, we're actually Smashworks Productions. We're here representing them. We work under, the 5-star because that's our forward facing. But they're a client just like you could be a client, and
Right.
and sometimes that's a major turnoff, and other times it's like, oh, well, tell me more how that works.
Right.
And and it's like, okay, because it's definitely what's up, Angel? It's definitely a lot more fun once they understand what it is we can do for them. Like we're never going to be a Memphis dealer ever because we just don't have the space for it. But building the amp rack for them for the Canadian side of their business, and then getting to know them better, it was a positive thing. It was like, wow, this, like, they do some really cool stuff that, like, I would never get into, because if the rep would come into the store, it would just be a bad experience for him, because he'd be like, oh, you guys don't have room for us, all right, I'm leaving. But talking with Nick there, who's in charge, and like, it's like, oh, well, this is really cool. Like, it was fun working with them. It was fun working with their product. They have some really cool stuff that is a little bit different than what everybody else, like, their DSP has their RGB controller built into it. So when you're programming your DSP, you could automatically change the lighting for everything. And it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And they make that cool version of the distribution block that I like. And then, on the thinking outside of the box category, they're coming out with home audio, or should I say yard audio. So they came out with this whole new company that makes these, yard lights, but they have speakers in them. And they're cool, like, totally different than anything, not the ugly Disney things. I mean, these literally look like the lights that you get from Home Depot and stick in the ground.
Right.
But they have these really awesome sounding speakers in them that are all weatherproof. They have a subwoofer you can bury. And it just daisy chains through the whole yard, and they had it set up there. And I was like, I don't want music in my yard, but if I did, this would be what I would buy, because this is like the coolest thing ever. You'd never know it was a speaker.
Especially if you have like a pool area or something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a pool, but I'd still never.
Yeah.
I mean, I might. But I don't know.
Honestly, I just take the bullfrog out there when I want to do that.
Yeah, I like to be a quiet neighbor. I don't want my neighbors, like, I'm not that guy. But what is your favorite set of component speakers? Money's no object. Oh, that would be tough. I mean, because I have the Focals. I have Focals. I actually have a really expensive set of the Porsche speakers sitting there, and I have the JBL. Those are $5,000. I have the Elates. So you got Supremo after that. That's a tough question. I have no idea, because I've heard a lot of really nice speakers. And I don't know how much better, like, at the level that we've played with, I don't know how much better something is going to get. Like, the Brack system we did, that's a $3,000 tweeter. I mean, so like, you have a 3-way set there that was what, like $10,000, like, and it sounded amazing. But I don't know. I don't know if I could, like anything, like the point of diminishing returns, like everyone always talks about, like, how much better is it going to get? With my hearing, I don't know how much better it would get just by throwing money at it. I think if you're going to look at it that way, it's more, let's look at all the pieces to the puzzle and come up with something that works together.
Right.
So, because if you, like, for example, like Ground Zero, they have their new amplifier. I can't even remember what the frick it's called. But we had it in the video, 2 years ago. Now you can buy them, and I think they're like $5,000 a pop, something like that. It's a dual mono design, 100%. there's no crosstalk whatsoever. It's
Yeah.
literally 2 amplifiers. The gain structure has two knobs that turn, one for each board, and it's like the ultimate AB class variable bias amplifier that, like, with a cooling system built into it, because they know someone's going to turn the bias all the way up on it, and it's just going to go straight A and just be like the most inefficient thing on the planet. And they have speakers that you can attach to it. So, I mean, if you're going to do a 3-way set, you need 3 of them. That's $15,000 in amplifiers.
Yeah, that's,
which I have no problem with. Like, I think that's wonderful, but at what point is far enough down the road? But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for let's keep going. There's no stop. I mean,
yeah.
We got a long way to go before we're gonna beat up what the guys in Indonesia are doing. Those guys are just like 2-channel all the way and killing it. Like, some of the stuff that those guys put out, you just look at it and go, what the frick?
Well, and that's like I've heard. So I would say most like sound quality competition vehicles don't use the $10,000 component sets.
No,
they use $2,000 or $3,000. A lot of them aren't even component sets. They're just building it piece by piece. But I've never heard the beryllium copper series that Focal did that, right?
They had the berylliums, yeah.
Yeah, the berylliums. I never heard the Max or the Ultimos. Yeah, is that Ultimas?
Ultimo, yeah. Those sound really nice. And there again, the Supremo, the Ultimo.
Yeah. No, I heard the Ultimo. I don't think I heard the Supremo, or I don't know, vice versa. Yeah. The other, yeah.
But there again, these things all sound amazing. I think once you get up to that point of like, holy shit,
yeah,
then you're just like, okay, I stand corrected. The amplifier is $10,000. It's
Oof.
not. It's the Ground Zero reference GZ Ultra A2.
Wow.
Yeah. So for those of you that are playing at home, if you'd like to look up the GZ Ultra A2, $10,000.
That's a little bit of money.
Yeah. But I mean, look at Tony's amplifiers.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what that was designed to play with, was his amplifiers, because all that stuff's going over to Asia. Swedish Peter, that's where he lives, over in Asia. And that was his baby, getting that thing up and running, because they have a market for it over there. We don't have a market for it here.
No. Even myself, like if I were to, I typically not buying super high-end stuff because I'm kind of buying stuff for the channel. But if I were just say I had no YouTube channel and just building a system, I would probably look for a component set in the $500 to $1,000 range, $500 to $1,000 range. That's probably where I'd be pretty happy with.
Well, Blake has an interesting point. When he was at Eggland last week, there was a bunch of JL C7 stuff there, or speakers in similar price point. And there again, yes, I feel once you get to that $25,000 to $5,000 price point, that's the sweet spot for high-end audio in the United States.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's like, because what it's going to take to get that going in power and sound right and everything else, it gets to be, like the $10,000 set of Brax. Okay. The amount of effort that went into powering that system, the guy had like $80,000 in that system. There's $50,000 worth of just equipment, or 55 or some shit crazy number like that. I mean, it's like shit. A $7,000 DSP.
Right.
And some people are out there going, I would never spend that. You're right, and you never would, but he did, because he's got that kind of dumb money. I don't, but I would love to.
Yeah.
I would like to. I mean, well, I'd have to stop buying camera shit, but
everybody spends their money on something stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes with a guy card, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like everyone has even people that don't have money waste their money on something that other people would
tattoos. It's all tattoos.
Tattoos, freaking golf, car audio,
Yeah.
motorcycle
Sue
equipment.
Sue buys bowling balls like they're
Oh,
free.
yeah, exactly.
So we have really cool yard art now. I just put all the old bowling balls in the yard.
There you
I
go.
put them in the bushes. So I have these cool yard bowling balls.
There you go.
Pretty neat.
Did she ever get the one with the like off of Kingpin
Oh,
with the
with the
rose,
no,
the clear
no,
with the rose? I mean, I feel like
no.
every
Because those don't work well. They don't have the right
you just got to have it to keep.
core. Yeah. I don't even think she's seen the movie yet. So
No, really? Wow.
100%. 100%. I think we went to watch it the other night and we couldn't find it. Or I don't know what happened, but
Wow.
yeah, I was like,
I mean,
I don't know if it was her or me.
I wouldn't consider it, a masterpiece, but it's fun. It's a funny movie.
Yeah. Oh, the Gans. Oh yeah. Angel Gan. Yeah, the Gan really doesn't hold a candle to the Ultras, as you figured out. But no, the Gan is nice.
Yeah.
Gan is nice. Yeah, one of these days we'll get our hands on one of those. Maybe not. I think our favorite systems are some K2s or two-way, three-way. No, and that's the thing. K2 is fabulous, man. Like,
Yeah.
I love doing a set of K2s because I love that look on the customer's face when you turn that on for the first time and they just sit there and they're like, holy crap. Like
Right.
they just weren't expecting that.
Voca has its own sound because they run their tweeters up so high that their mid-range, they run their mid-range up so high to blend to the tweeter that you're getting a lot of sound from the mid-range, and it's a different sound. I mean, it's a good sound. It's just different.
I mean, their crossover points are 5K, 5 to 350, and 350 and below. And then if you're doing a two-way, it's 5K up and down.
Right.
So, whereas Morel is like, makes no sense. Like tuning a Morel system is so much harder than tuning a Focal system. Like, Jesus Christ. And it drives Brian Mitchell nuts because he's like, what are you working on? I'm like, we're working on a Morel system. And he's like, oh, got those crazy crossover points. I mean, yeah. I'll be like, I know. It's okay, man. It's okay.
Yeah. The Focals are, I guess they're kind of the standard for old, like back in the day, I think that was almost standard 5K crossover points.
I think they do that so you don't cap their tweeters.
Yeah.
Because everyone runs a shit ton of power to them.
Right. Yeah.
But Sundown Neo Pro sound amazing. Take massive power, yet can mount anywhere. Yeah. And there again, that's
I can speak to it, but I've only heard them at the loudest volume humanly possible.
Correct.
There's no way I could judge it.
Right. And it's fun. It's funny. So on that note, because I had a guy come in at some point in the last week. Let's just say that because I knew today was Thursday,
right?
But I haven't been home at all. Like I wasn't home last night. I won't be home this weekend. Like next weekend is the first weekend that I'm actually home, and then we leave again. So it's like, yay. So we'll have the show next week, but the week after, I think we're on a plane.
Oh man.
Yeah. But then I think it slows down until June. So
there you go.
Which could be 2 or 3 weeks. Who the fuck knows? But so I'm having this conversation with the guy, and he comes in and he's Paul's talking to him, and then he says, hey man, let me ask you a question. I said, okay. He's like, so my boys have these cars and they're so loud. And I go, yeah, they have loudspeakers in them. He goes, I sat in the car and like at low volumes, they're terrible. But you turn them up and they're just like, oh my God. Yeah. I said, yeah. I said, okay, so here's how this works. I said, there's two bigger types of genre in car audio right now. There is the conventional, put them where the factory goes, really nice set of speakers, DSP the shit out of it, and make it little pinkies out or SQL, whatever the hell you want to call it, but it's all done with conventional drivers. I said, then you have the opposite side of that, which is the loudspeaker guys, and they have a unique sound that they like. And it's not that one is better or worse than the other. It's just the sound and how they like to play it. Like, if you like blue, cool. I like gray. We like color. So it's not like there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
And so I said, it's a unique sound, and just like ours is unique, I said, if yours is that sound is unique too. I said, if you would like that in your car, there's certain ways you have to go about doing it. He goes, well, I don't want to cut up my car. I said, okay, so there's two schools of thought on that. One is like, if you want mid range or mid bass, so to speak, you have the Rockford T2, or you have um, the Millies from Hertz. I said those are really loud speakers that sound great, but they're not going to they're going to be the closest thing you're going to get to that. It's like putting your baby toe into the world of loudspeakers. It's like it's like you don't want to commit. You want to take the pill because you think and then but you're not going to get the surgery. It's that kind of thing. And so he's like, no. He goes, yeah, I know, but I'm thinking. I said, okay. He goes, what about DS18? I said, DS18. I said, I said, come back inside. Let me show you some stuff. So DS18 makes their loudspeaker coaxial hybrid,
Right.
which is, it's got a big ass, like closed back but not speaker on it that just plays from 200 hertz and up, and they got a horn loaded tweeter in there, and it's deep and big, and it just and he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they made these. I said, yeah. I said, now you were talking about Hertz. Hertz has SPL Show, which is basically the same idea. You also have motorcycle stuff where you have, like Rockford makes their motorcycle speakers, Cicada makes their motorcycle speakers, and it's based on the same principle. Diamond has some where they have this god awful loud tweeter mounted in a big mid range, and they're just blaring. But you can put those in a conventional hole in a car without having to go all crazy. And you'd think I'd just change the world for the guy. He was so happy. He's like, Now the bad part of this all is like DS18 makes one, and it's pretty reasonably priced. But when you look at, as soon as you say it fits in a motorcycle,
oh, dude, motorcycle pricing is absurd.
Whoa, those guys are insane. Like, $500 for a set of motorcycle speakers. Boom, they will. So
they'll pay $1,000 for a seat.
Oh yeah.
So
when I was at the CMA in Canada, I had to tune the little T-Rex. I don't know if you've seen any pictures from there, but they had this little tiny, they had a T-Rex, old school T-Rex. Guy just had this thing redone. And it had a Rockford system in it because it was in the Rockford booth. And they're like, had a DSR1. And they're like, hey, since you're coming, you're like the only guy that knows how to work these things. Can you tune it for us? I said, sure. So the guy's like, dude, when I sit in it, just like, because he's got 10-inch cans behind his head and he's got 5-inch cans in front of him. And it's just like train wreck from the back of the head every time you listen to it. He goes, can you do anything with this? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I sat down in there, spent about 30 minutes, microphone, whole thing, got it, sat in the car, fucking sounded great. Guy, I said, all right, man, hop in, tell me what you think. We cranked it up. He's like, oh, this is the shit. Yeah, this is so much better. There's like imaging in the front. These aren't, he's like, this is so awesome. My guy walks over and he goes, did you tune it? I said, yeah. And he goes, wait, fucking right when he said that, Marty from Cicada played their new fucking display. They didn't even have a motorcycle. They had their display. Holy shit. It's got to be the loudest fucking display I've ever heard in my life. It lit that fucking place up like just, and I was like, and he goes, I want it to be loud like that. And I go, shit. So
we're gonna need more power.
So no, they had plenty of power. So I made a second tune that was I literally stood 10 feet away from it, and I it's Bluetooth, so I retuned the whole thing, took away all the time alignment, balanced it back out. So this thing just like the humor in all this was Andy Waymeyer and Jeff Smith. Andy's from Audio Frog, and everybody knows Jeff Smith. We're over in the Stinger booth that was literally right fucking 15 feet from me. And Andy is just over there wearing his Elmo hat. And he goes, fuck, man. He's like, that sounds so bad. And I was like, you're welcome. That's what they're paying me for. He's like, God Almighty. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm just doing the job.
When we were at DB Drag Finals the year before last, there was a truck there, the loudest truck I've ever heard in my life, loudspeaker wise. You could hear it from 5 blocks away, maybe 6. And from that distance, it sounded really, really good. It was insane. I didn't get to talk to the guy because we didn't get to hear it close up, but it was crazy.
Yeah, I like what Melissa's talking about over here. Yeah, it's 2002. Yeah, it was a good year. I was only 12 years in it by then. Yeah. I remember 2002. But no, that's yeah. And the good, better, best, in cars, and that's the thing. Like OEM integration is definitely all it is now.
Yeah.
And that's half my day. Is just dealing with the headache. But I mean, she sells ARC, so she has access to the Blackbird and the PSM Pro, which makes life freaking Jim dandy because you have 8 channels you can do whatever you want with, and you can do iData. So we've been using a fair amount of the Blackbirds.
Yeah.
So it's kind of because it's audio control is really hard to get right now. Like they have supply chain issues, whatever. So, plus the ARC audio software is a lot deeper, has a lot more options. Which I think we all saw when Brian came on and talked about it for an hour, and everyone just sit there and went,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like people go, does your amp do all pass filters? 32 of them plus 7, and you're like, oh, okay. How many, and that was their answer to like people going, well, no, all right, fine. Screw it. Every band can be anything you want it to be. And it's like, wait, what? Okay. We love ARC 4. Yeah. No. And it's funny. We just did a Chevy we had to fix. It was 911. But we didn't film it because I didn't come in until like day half.
Yeah.
Fernando had all day to go through it all and pull most of the crap out of it before I got there, because that was on a Monday. I don't even know what Monday it was. I think I was coming back from Canada. I'm not sure because I don't remember what we did earlier this week. But we took everything out and we put a Blackbird, and he had LC 8i or LC 1.8. Yeah, LC 1.8 for the sub. And like whoever had done it had just done a terrible job. Like it was so bad. They put a 4-channel amp in where a 6-channel amp needed to go. It's like, oh my God, but it was so much fun. I seen Powerbase has a 32-band DSP. A lot of people have a 32-band DSP because the Chinese software manufacturer offers it to everybody, and it's solid software. Like,
right.
It was funny because when we worked with Memphis, we put the DSP on the amp rack, and they're like, what do you think of the DSP? I said, it's, I have no idea. I said, I just built the amp rack, and they're like, oh, I said, I guess that means I should probably look at the software just in case someone asks me a question. And they're like, yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. I was like, okay, no problem. I'll familiarize myself with it. And it's like, as soon as I launched it, I was like, oh, thank God. I know this software. This software is going to be easy.
It's like the JBL software kind of
same stuff. It's all the same stuff.
They just put their own little skin over it, but it's the same thing. And it's pretty simple. I like it because if I get in too deep with this stuff, like I'll
there's no way to get too deep with it.
Exactly. There's
no way. As long as you can get input and output set up properly, that's it, man.
That is the pain. The way that when you don't understand how it works.
Well, you know who they copied for that, right? They copied ARC.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, that whole bubble thing is ARC's. So
once you know that, though, it makes sense. But when you don't know that or understand that, you're like, what the hell's going on with my DSP? Like, I'm getting no sound.
And the funniest part is like ARC. So Arc went back, and since they had the bubble software like that, and now that everyone's using it, and people have complained like, oh, I just don't understand how this works. So they went in and created another layer, which is the JL Audio setup. So they have two skins that you can do on their DSP. One is, I knocked over my glass ice. One of them is the JL Audio, like do this tree thing, this follow the road,
Yeah.
or you can use the bubbles, whichever one you want to use.
Hmm.
And I was like, I hate them both.
I've only barely messed with the JL Audio, and the one
Right.
it was the older one, so I just
Yeah, it's
they still sell it today, but I hear that their amps are more or newer, up to date software.
yeah.
So,
It's nice stuff.
Yeah.
It's not. It's yeah. Literally half my day is explaining why the shop that sold you the LC7i is the wrong piece.
Yeah.
Um, NAR or NAR Pro. It's getting really annoying, but it has to be done. It's funny though, because like that's one of those things that is so a lot of the time, like we have the like the shirt that I can never have made. It says if LC7i was the answer, what was the question? Um, and it's true because it might be the right answer. Like
Right.
there's a right and wrong time to use everything, right? And it just depends on what you're trying to do. If you're putting an amp pro in because you want the cleanest signal possible, that's great. But the problem that we ran into now that we're down the road some and we've been doing this is we knew why we wanted the cleanest signal possible, and it's going into a DSP. Like in our brains, we were like, we're stripping the DSP by putting the amp pro in. So the factory DSP that's causing us all this grief, we're getting so we can then have a clean output. In our minds, we're just putting in another DSP. That's always what we did. But that's not what everybody else does. Everyone else strips the DSP, puts a basic amplifier in there, and then the customer goes, well, how come it doesn't sound as good as it did before? It's louder, but now the sound is coming from the corner. What happened to my center channel? Where did all the surround go? How come the rears are doing what they're doing? And you're like, and so I've had guys, oh, I tried an amp pro, it sounded terrible. I put an LC7i on it, worked great. And I was like, did you put another DSP in? Like, no. Why would I do that? I don't know how to use one of those. And you're like, oh, well, shit. That's a problem because, we assumed wrong. In like a DSR1, like we put in a lot of DSR1s for that saying, AR, DSR1, put it in, and we never thought about it because it was the right solution. We took out a DSP, we put in a DSP, but not everybody's doing that. And so at that point, the LC7i might actually be the better solution. But you still have to amplify everything now, which is okay. So we're going to put an LC7i in. How many channels do we have? We have a center, we have a tweeter, we have mid-range, 2 mid-range, we have rear, we have sub. Oh, that's 10 channels. That's 8 channels. LC7i is only 6 channels. All right, so we're going to need something else here. And we're going to need an amplifier for that center channel that you're taking, that you got to keep. Because that's an integral part of this. And then, so now it gets complicated. And so I just bought a 5-channel amp. And you're like, well, you bought the wrong thing. So it's one of those where it's like, fine, if you want to do it this way, you got to get the right stuff no matter what.
Right.
And that's the other side of it. It's like everyone was buying these LC7Is to put a 5-channel in, and they're taking out 8 channels. Right. It's like, so.
Well, it's like I always think of the LC7i as kind of like a legacy product. I know it gets used in a lot of stuff nowadays, but it's just audio control makes a lot of things I consider legacy products, like their EQs with time alignment, manual time alignment, and stuff.
Yeah,
it's somebody wants that, but it's not a mass appeal product.
Actually, so the sad thing is that stuff didn't like get discontinued or anything.
Yeah.
it just forgot to get ordered.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what happened to that. So, like, the DQ-DX, DQ-61,
Mhm.
it's just, like, LC-Q1, like,
Mhm.
that stuff just forgot to get reordered. You
Yeah.
know, when Amp acquired them or Stinger acquired them, and then they sold off the home audio or licensed off the home, whatever the hell they did there, a lot of this caused this hole that the people that are supposed to be doing things didn't know what to do, which is what happens. That's right. Isn't that what happens when you buy a company and not everyone knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
what they're expected to do? If your job is to order that stuff and we just bought that company, now your job is to buy this stuff and someone doesn't tell you what you need to do over there, like I'm still doing what I'm told to do here, and until somebody tells me differently,
Right.
and it's like, well, wait, your job is to order stuff. We bought them, so your job is to. Well, I didn't know.
I mean, I don't know the situation, but it could be a situation where it's like, well, we sold 100 of those or 1,000 of those last year compared to this and that, and they're just looking straight at the numbers. But
Oh
audio
yeah.
control may have done it like, well, we do this for a specific customer who gets these, but they
Well, a
also
lot of that.
10
Yeah.
million fees. So
Well, a lot of that stuff Alex just liked.
yeah,
Like the DQDX was one of Alex's favorite pieces.
yeah,
He's like, he told me, he goes, dude, I love the DQDX. It's a simple problem solving piece.
right.
And I was like, dude, I totally agree with you. Like, but take that into a bigger corporation that might not see that,
Hmm.
and there it goes, and it's like, how many LC7Is are we going to sell? Or the new LC5i Pro, or the new LC7i Pro? These are all things that are they just sell tons and tons and tons of these things. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting what happens on the back end side of things. Although I will say this, to just not to poo poo on audio control, because I'm a major fanboy. Um, in the next 2 years, you're going to see some really really interesting stuff coming out of that camp. So, like, s- I mean, the writing is all over the wall. What they're going to do,
Right.
but we're also looking at the wall, so we know. But they are coming out with some pretty awesome stuff,
Well, I think
in both sides of it.
some of their stuff's just tried and true, like nice stuff. Their
Yeah.
DSPs, the amps,
Yeah.
and they've done small tweaks and innovations to make them a little bit better, and they're just been like a high quality, solid piece of equipment.
I've installed more different pieces of equipment in a Toyota Celica while in a Walmart parking lot.
You
Oh god. Yeah. Oh man.
Epicenter built in now.
Well, Epicenter is no longer. There's no more patents on the Epicenter.
Yeah.
Um, if you recall, the Epicenter was built into the amplifier originally. So right before Bennett got there, the first two amplifiers were the Epicenter amplifiers. They had an Epicenter 600 and I think an Epicenter 1200.
Yeah.
And the first thing that happened once he got there was shit can both of those and come out with the 1500 and the 800, because the price points didn't make any sense. But
Right.
back then, the chipset you had to use for the Epicenter was expensive. Now with the micro, that's a whole redesign of the Epicenter. So now we have a whole different technology, that access to a whole different technology. We all know we want Epicenter in the amplifier. Like, they know we know that we want that. Like, it's 100%. Like, but it's also them having to go back and reinvent the wheel a little bit, because they can't just take a competition series Epicenter, open it up and jam it into an amplifier. They'll run into the same problem. It'll be too expensive. So it's finding how to use this almost analog software in a digital way, which was part of what Epicenter Micro was doing, was reinventing how that is done. And the problem is that it is such an old technology, going back and figuring out how it actually works, because there's no one left to say, "Oh, this is what I did."
Yeah.
you know. So it's almost like they have to backwards engineer their own tech in some regards. But
Yeah.
that's what happens when you have a product that has been in the line for so long, and it's just like, here's the blueprint, make the cookies this way and don't change anything, you
Right.
know? And it's like, oh, okay. We need to, because we have to put it in a more affordable shell.
I
But
wonder how many people buy for features nowadays, because I know I'm a special case, but I'm getting to the point whether I either want a DSP in my amp, full on DSP, or I want nothing, just a straight up amp, and I'll do my own DSP with a couple gains. I don't even need crossovers.
so so
I mean,
it's
probably crossovers, but I just need it basic.
so Christian is one of those people that drives me crazy because he can't he can't focus on doing one thing great.
Yeah.
He just he and the things like he's stuck on some features that he thinks are the most amazing things, and it's and we argued about it the other day, and I won't get into it because I don't he can't defend himself here, so that wouldn't be nice. But um he drives me crazy, and he knows it because it's never changed the cookie recipe. Exactly. Um because it's like, for me, and it's fine because that's how he likes to do it. So but it's like, dude, like, pick something and move forward with it, for God's sakes, you know? And he's like, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to use this really expensive thing to do this, and that's it. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
It sounds like when Cassie's the way her mind works, like my mind does not work at that at all. Like
No. Mm.
she's thinking of 20 things at once. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, hold on, I'm doing this task. Like, let me finish this. As soon as I'm done, I will give you my full undivided attention. But in order to finish this task, I need to focus my attention on it, and I'll finish it. Then you'll get the full attention. But her mind does not work. And I guess it's, having to deal with the kids. So
Well, I mean, the guys saying get stereo integrity amplifiers, or you could just get Morel. Morel has their 2-channel amplifier, AB class amplifier with dual gain pots, no crossovers, no nothing. It's just a straight power amp. There's literally nothing inside of it. Um, so, I mean,
that's actually not what I want. I just want everything to have a good DSP in it. That's the
oh,
truth.
100%.
That or the most basic amplifier. I don't
No,
want the in between.
So, yeah. So the struggle I have is, how many channels do we need? That's it. Because
The bare minimum now, without including a subwoofer, I would say is 8 channels.
so where my problem comes in is how many input channels. So, you get a 10-channel DSP. So like a Blackbird
Yeah.
is 8 to 12. A Moscone Pro 830 is 8 to 12. It's not enough anymore. It's not enough.
Well, some of them are 4 to 6, and
Yeah, and that's useless. 4 to 6 is just like, oh,
yeah.
God. But, so one of the things that makes Helix is like they're in out. So if it's got 12 out, it's got 12 in. If it's got 14 out, it's got 14 in. Audison is not there, but they realized it and they put an expansion ability on their amplifiers. So like if it's 8 in, 10 out, or 8 in, 14 out, or whatever it is, you can buy a card that goes, like, you pull the side of the amplifier off, and you put a card on the side of the amplifier that gives you more channels of input. So it's like an expansion pack that you can buy from the amplifier, which is like, oh, all right, well, cool, that works too, which I'm fine with, and I do like what Audison is doing with their multi-channel DSP amplifiers. Like, it's a good product. It's got a lot of DSP potential. I still think their sub amp with DSP is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a 7-channel DSP, so you got freaking like 6 channels of
Another
DSP.
way around,
With
have
8 channels of DSP.
a DSP amp that won't control anything but its own channels. I hate that in a DSP amp. I want at least 2 channels so you can do a subwoofer.
Well, in there again, most amplifiers are coming that way now. Most amplifiers that have DSP built into them will have at least 4 channels of
Yeah.
output.
And that's the way, like, that's the way that I prefer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the cheaper ones don't, obviously, because they're cheap and you have to pay more to get more.
Yeah. It's the input channels that are where we're needing to work. So we need more than 8 inputs. It's not enough anymore. Because even a Honda Civic or Honda Accord amplified system is 10 channels.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, okay, fine. I don't need all the channels. What if I do? What if I do?
You need them.
I always need them.
There's no reason not to have them, in my opinion. I mean, just give a decent amount. It can't cost that much more.
It's all just design.
Yeah.
It's listen, you can design anything any way you want as long as at the beginning you know what you're designing. That's the problem with all of these guys is that step 1 is the whiteboard where we say we want this. All right, so now we have to get from here to here. So if the number is 8, we can go. If the number is 12, then we have to sit there and go, how do we get from 12 to this? And so that's where it's not like it's that much harder. It's just knowing before you start what it is you're trying to do. So, if we talk with the manufacturers designing something for integration purposes, the first thing we tell them is you need 10 to 12 channels.
Yeah.
If you're not building something with 10 to 12 channels, don't waste your time, because 8 is not enough. It isn't. Like, and they're like, they'll tell you all kinds of reasons for not doing it. And you just look at them and go, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But nobody cares. You're wrong.
Exactly.
This is one of those things where
kids growing up, it's like, hey, guess what? You got all these reasons why this happened, but when you grow up and you're in the real world, nobody cares. Well, nobody cares why this happened. They just care that it happened, and this is the consequences of it happening.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is if we want to make this so people understand it, if you say, hey, you have 10 channels of output coming from the factory amplifier, you need an amplifier that has 10 channels of input. Simple enough. And then you go, oh, okay. But we'll get there one day.
And if you want to hear more of Dean's musings, you can join us on our other show. It's called Side Bag. We're reviewing Roadhouse 2020.
Oh, are we doing Roadhouse?
Did you watch Roadhouse?
I did watch. Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, yeah. We're reviewing Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't remember if it was Roadhouse or Damsel.
We done that one like 2 shows.
Right, we did. That's right, dude. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I can't wait.
All right.
All right, man. See you guys.
Bye.